you like audiobooks or audio shows, check out a free trial of Audible. Just click the link in the description.
Welcome to MINDSHOCK True Crime. You are listening to the Maura Murray series. This is episode 69, New Phone Records. James Renner once again releases mind-shocking, groundbreaking information regarding who Maura Murray was making contact with from December through January. The phone bill prior to the one that had already been made public. He posted it on his blog May 27th, 2021, fairly recently, and we will be going over the mind-shocking bombshells here and that how these might potentially connect to other issues in the case. Of course, this is the Maura Murray series. Like no other missing persons case in history, it is the coincidence theorist's paradise of cold cases. There's more coincidences here stacked on top of each other to dismiss for even the most ardent coincidence theorist. I am, of course, Bruce McGuire, and if you enjoy the podcast, if you find it interesting, and you want to help MindShock create more mind-shocking episodes, not just in this true crime missing persons case, but in other cases, because awareness is, of course, the key to solving cases. You can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Make sure you allow your device to have those notifications come through. You could also check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. Patrons do get priority for case topic logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. Just check the link in the description. Like and share this podcast, and any questions, comments, theories, thoughts, suggestions, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind, leave them in the comment section. So here is James Renner's post from May 27th, 2021. Earlier phone records reveal pattern of contacts a month before Maura disappeared. I recently obtained details of Maura's cell phone bill from December through January, the bill prior to the one that was already made public. Most of these calls take place during extended Christmas break. There's nothing groundbreaking. Calls to her sister Julie and her boyfriend Billy Rauch, as well as his mother Sharon. She also placed 3 calls to the home of Bob McDonald, a West Point professor and friend of Billy's. Bob and his wife Christine traveled to New Hampshire the week of the disappearance to interview neighbors near the scene of Maura's accident. I like how Renner just wrote that out as if it's not shocking at all. These professors have nothing better to do than to just drive out, not just for a DUI. See, how many DUI walkaways do professors at a school that the boyfriend is no longer even attending just drive out to investigate and interview neighbors? I mean, out of all the DUI walkaways of college-aged kids, how many of them involve this level of dedication? Billy Rauch's parents driving a third of the way across the country in the middle of the night over a DUI walkway. I mean, she could have been holed up at a hotel and she could have just showed up the next day. What if she showed up the next day? How stupid would they look? I mean, even Fred Murray and Julie Murray didn't even request emergency leave. This is her own sister, her direct family, not girlfriend, boyfriend, potential ex, because we don't even know the status of their current relationship. There's been so many conflicting reports there. We have no idea if they were even in a relationship that day. Maybe they were a couple days before. Who knows? We don't know. That's the point. We have a potential ex. The mentor is driving out with his wife. I mean, are they professors? Or I think his wife is also a teacher, but not at West Point. But they're taking time off work to drive out and interview neighbors. Can you imagine? Like, I think I asked for a poll. Does anyone know of any other DUI walkaway case, regardless of whether they showed up the next day, the next week, whatever, or even were never found again? How often did this many individuals just show up and make these long distance treks over what was potentially a DUI walkaway when the person could very well have showed up the next day or even the day after? Because we all know people that have DUI walk away either first hand, second hand, third hand. Usually they show up the next day. Sometimes they show up the next week. I mean, depending on which area, less populated areas in the countryside. Sometimes they show up next week. Oh, yeah, went on a bender, whatever, left the car on the road, came back and got it. Or if it was towed, they had to go pick it up from the tow yard. Whatever the case may be. I mean, that happens all the time. DUI walkaways are not a rare occurrence. So the level that the narrative steers, the mental gymnastics they have to do would make Simone Biles jealous in order to explain away this level of insanity regarding a potential DUI walk away from the McDonald's. So here's the thing. Maura made an outgoing call to Bob and Christine McDonald. I'm assuming this is their landline, so it's unknown whether she speak to Bob or Christine. And this was December 27th, so it wasn't some kind of Christmas wishing. This was December 27th, and it was a 9:51 a.m. call. It was a 1-minute call. So did she not, was this a voicemail or whatever the case may be? Then there was another call December 28th, 1:49 p.m. And then again at 1:49 p.m. So did she not leave a voicemail, just hang up and call again? Why was she calling them? And this begs the question. Why were Bob McDonald and Bill Roush so desperate to deny that Maura Murray was ever discussed on the call? Because it's kind of strange, because if Maura Murray is calling them frequently or semi-frequently, even if it's only every couple months, it's kind of weird. Why would they specifically go out of their way to deny that Maura Murray was mentioned? And if Bill Roush really is engaged to be engaged, doesn't it stand to reason that Bob McDonald would ask, oh, by the way, how's your engagement going? I mean, if he's his mentor, I mean, how much stuff does Billy Roush have going on in his life? I mean, an engagement or even a potential engagement, so according to Bill Roush and Sharon Roush, they were picking out rings, they were engaged to be engaged, whatever. Whether or not there was a formal engagement to be taking place that week, Valentine's Day, whether or not there were plans put in motion from beforehand for everybody to travel, because that's kind of short notice for a DUI walkaway. So if they were all planning to be in the area anyway, for some kind of an event, possibly an engagement surprise party for Maura Murray. Maybe not surprise, but I mean, Maura's not here to really state what she and Billy had talked about in the week or two or three prior to that week. So we really don't know. We don't know anything. But is it strange that Bob McDonald went out of his way to deny any mention of Maura Murray? And even if he didn't bring her up, wouldn't Bill Roush could, if this is his mentor, wouldn't he have some concerns about becoming engaged to be engaged? Or if not, perhaps just offer, oh, he's so excited, like it's Valentine's, or if Valentine's Day weekend is coming up, wouldn't it, and he's calling McDonald at the time that Maura Murray's Saturn is being staged by someone, regardless of whether Maura Murray was the driver or not. I mean, the level of coincidence here is unlike anything seen in any case ever. It's just really, really bizarre. There are also calls between there's also calls to Sharon Roush on Christmas. Now, who knows? That might be all up and up, on the up and up. That might be normal. There's a 12 minutes used call, a 13 minutes used call on January 3rd as well. Now, that 13-minute call January 3rd, is that just wishing a Happy New Year a little late if there was a lot going on? I don't know. It's kind of weird. Without knowing her exact movements. And then plenty of calls to Bill Roush, of course. A lot of them are 1-2 minutes, but there's January 2nd call, 12 minutes, 10 minutes. January 4th call, 13 minutes. January 20th call, 27 minutes. Now, let's look at what some sleuths have come up with on the MindShock subreddit, because of course the main Maura Murray subreddit, r/Maura Murray, is an obvious sham subreddit. It's a controlled subreddit for narrative steerers, for those that don't know. Very obvious to those that are in the loop and have been for a while, where the sham moderators shut down logical discussion. And narrative steerers, trolls, and obfuscators run amok with impunity, shutting down all logical inquiry. So, here's what's interesting. A user here stated on December 27th. So obviously there's the call to McDonald, 9:51. Next call, right after that, 9:57, is to a 1-800 number. I called that number. It belongs to a transportation company in Massachusetts. Searching further the name of the owner, he comes up as also owning another company at the same address. It is a construction company, and the co-owner is a McDonald. I don't know if he's related to Bob McDonald. I also found that the owner of these two companies may also own a company who deals with racing greyhounds. Maura loved animals. Think about it. Would she be okay with using greyhounds in races? Okay, let's put the greyhound issue aside for a moment. So McDonald is a relatively common last name. No issue there. But what are the chances that back-to-back calls of a missing person whose boyfriend was on the phone with the guy she's calling, even though it's month and a half prior, about a month prior, the next call after that is to someone who owns a business with a co-owner who's also McDonald. This is within 6 minutes. This is within minutes of that first call, of the December 27th call to McDonald. So if we're examining calls, months and months aside, this is the next call after she's trying to reach McDonald. She calls another number of a guy who's a co-owner with a business with a McDonald. Again, separately, no issue. But when you put it together, how strange is that? Now, we already have a coincidence stack a mile high. So there might be some coincidence in somewhere. But what are the chances that everything is a coincidence? We're talking about hurricanes coming through junkyards and creating Lamborghinis now. This is a level of improbability that's just beyond all reason for those that try to dismiss this as all mere coincidence. Now, of course, we don't know, what numbers belong to whom end of 2003, beginning of 2004, because numbers can change, of course. So it could be a coincidence. It's just interesting that the calls are minutes apart, and she apparently did not speak to McDonald unless it was for a minute. So did she have this other number to a business listed, and she wanted some kind of information from McDonald, possibly about Billy? So let's go on a really deep rabbit hole aside here that people have been asking about for a long time. This is the Domino's pizza call. So on the alleged night of her breakdown, which might have just simply her being fired, she calls Domino's after hours. Now, again, we have to add in all of the insanity with the sting operation. How much did that cost? And over a 2-digit unauthorized credit card charge. Allegedly unauthorized, because again, if someone gave Maura Murray that credit card, said it was a pass-around credit card number, and it was routine for people to order maybe a common pizza for a dorm. Kids are coming in and out of each other's dorm rooms all the time. Some people's parents might not have cared over, whatever, an extra couple $100 a month charges for pizza for their kids and their kids' friends. That's not unheard of. Someone with middle class, upper middle class parents, they might brush off charges, a couple $100 in food charges a month for their kids and their kids' common area friends, whatever, in dorm rooms. And then if there was some kind of jealousy type situation, or someone was trying to set Maura up, or someone else used the card but Maura was picking up the food and she wanted to protect whoever was involved in that, if it really was a stolen number. Again, these are things we don't know, but the narrative steers hallucinate that they know. They hallucinate that it's all definitive fact that Maura was 100% guilty and knowingly used someone else's credit card number without their permission. I mean, I don't know why they hallucinate that. I have no idea why they're so desperate to pretend she really was guilty. I mean, maybe she was, but I wasn't there, so I wouldn't hallucinate. I mean, how logical is it to hallucinate that you can know that without actually knowing that? There's a lot of that in this case. There's no shortage of Dunning-Kruger goofs circling this case online. Some of them are very prominent researchers. So apparently, this 1-800 number is also claimed to have been associated with a guy named Matt. Again, very common name. People have pinpointed his name online. Obviously, he has not been named publicly, so I will not say his last name. But it's a guy named Matt. Now, he may or may not have worked at the Domino's, but supposedly he did. Supposedly, he is now 57 years old, according to researchers who are running these names. And again, there might be multiple names. I do not claim anything is true or untrue. This is a logical podcast. Nobody's hallucinating anything is true or untrue. We are just examining information for validity. So supposedly he's 57 years old now, and his partner still lives in Whitman, right next to Hanson, Maura Murray's hometown. Another coincidence. I mean, there's a lot of towns in Massachusetts, okay? Whitman and Hanson are not the biggest populated towns in Massachusetts. The Whitman population as of 2018 was only 15,000. 15,168 people. That's not a lot of people. That's the total population. Men, women, children. I mean, this is insanity. This is insanity. And farther back, the population drops going back. But, yeah, I mean, what are the chances? Now, conversely, Amherst, Massachusetts 2010 population was 37,813. So still not a ton. But what are the chances that the Domino's number, if this was a Matt that in fact worked there, if this number is also associated with him, is he from Whitman, next to Hanson, Maura Murray's hometown? And Hanson, Massachusetts, 2018 population, only 10,874 people. Not the biggest city in Massachusetts. These are a lot of coincidences going on here. Here's a couple of more astute posts here. 6 calls from Billy Rausch to Maura Selin dorm number on Sunday, February 8th. It doesn't appear that she was returning any of those calls. It certainly seems like Bill Rausch knew something was wrong earlier than when he claims Fred called him on Tuesday, February 10th, which is obviously obvious from his cell phone activity. I mean, he's also calling Kate Markopoulos' dorm room. Something's going on that Sunday, and the only piece of evidence we have, the only solid piece of evidence we have, relatively solid, is Fred Murray claiming that Maura Murray called him. If we take that out of the equation at 11:30 p.m. talking about the accident forms, now if we take that out of the equation, we don't have any physical evidence that Maura Murray was not taken on Sunday. I mean, we have an alleged claim of someone seeing her with a hockey bag or a garbage bag. We have the ATM footage, which might not have the correct timestamp, but even if it does, if she's with someone else and the vehicle is evident, which is why they only released a couple frames from the video, because there's a non-Saturn vehicle evident that she enters. And if that's the case, again, I'm not saying it is, but if that's true, and of course they never released the footage from the liquor store, because either it's not her there purchasing those things, or someone else is with her that they don't want identified, possibly both of them using a vehicle not the Saturn. And if that's all true, then that means she's either with somebody, maybe against her will, maybe not. Maybe not against her will, but either way, something happened and she technically deviates from her regular schedule on Sunday. And if the Saturn's not involved, that means either somebody else could have taken the Saturn. Again, we have unprecedented suppression of evidence in this case. I mean, UMass has outdoor security cameras, so they have footage of whether or not the Saturn is in the parking lot. They would have footage of Maura walking around if she was there on the Monday. They would also have footage of the Sunday and the Saturday and the Friday, and all of this could be corroborated. None of this footage has ever been released, let alone even referenced. Not even referenced. Did the FBI confiscate it all when they touched down on UMass? I mean, all for a DUI walkaway, nothing to see here. But anyway, there's something else going on, obviously. So, again, if we take Fred Murray's call on Sunday, 11:30 at night, and we don't know where Maura Murray is during the time of this call, so maybe it was her on the phone, but for whatever reason, I mean, Fred would have to have a really good reason to lie about this. I mean, I suppose if we're really going crazy, could someone have recorded Maura Murray's voice? Or could someone have been present with Maura Murray, kind of just telling her to give quick yes or no answers and just get off, not say anything is wrong, even if something was wrong? Again, I'm not saying she was held at gunpoint, but there could have been some kind of situation, we don't know what it is, obviously, where she either was talking to Fred under duress. Theoretically, if someone's going through the plan of making her disappear, if someone's sending emails for her, if someone's calling Stowe, if someone's creating this paper trail to make it look like Maura Murray's escaping, could they have a voice recording of her voice and simply be playing back quick yes or no answers, hey, how's it going, whatever, from their recordings to make it appear that Maura Murray is talking on the phone? Again, Fred Murray could clarify this, because if they're specifically talking about accident forms and all of this stuff, it's unlikely they could have recorded something if Maura was the one saying those words. If it was just Fred, because according to some of these breakdowns, Fred called Maura to remind her to get the accident forms. So if he's calling and saying, yeah, make sure you get them, and she's just saying, yeah, I know, I won't, yes, I'll, whatever, just basic words, somebody could have easily recorded them. And if this has something to do with either an undercover FBI agent or some kind of upper agency, then of course they could have done it. But even a tech-savvy college student in 2004, I mean, that's not that difficult to do, especially if you're planning it out. So we really don't know. But that Thursday night breakdown and the call to this Matt guy, who may or may not be working at the Domino's, who may or may not be a mechanic. Now, the plot thickens quite substantially. Another astute researcher dug this up regarding the calls to the McDonald's on December 27th and 28th. Is it possible Bill Rausch and Maura stayed with the McDonald's during the holidays 2003? So this is 2 months prior, month and a half prior to her disappearance. There was an old post from Peabody, 2005. I know she spent the holidays prior to her missing divided between her family and friends in Hanson, Massachusetts and Connecticut, friends in Western New York, and with her boyfriend's family in Ohio. Of course, the McDonald's are in Western New York. How would you, unless you would phrase it Western New York in relation to the city or Western New York State? And with her boyfriend's family in Ohio. Okay, that's really weird, because from her email, this is the alleged email from her to her friends, Bill is coming up to UMass the 20th, and we're seeing a Duke game in New York, then heading to Hanson. Actually, Hanover, to stay with Kathleen. Julie is coming home on the 23rd. So she's spread out all over the place. And then she was also in Ohio. I mean, this is a crazy busy holiday season. It's not that far removed from her going missing. February 9th from December 20th. It's over a month. Not that much over a month. It is very, very curious. So was she even with the McDonald's? And if she was, I mean, that opens another can of worms, because then for Bob McDonald not to even talk about her on his phone with Bill Rausch at the time the Saturn was being staged by someone, possibly Maura involved, possibly not even in the vehicle. And of course, the roaming calls were not on the recent phone bill. And Kate Markopoulos is from the New York State area as well. And I'm not sure about Sarah Alfieri. Some people saying she's from that area as well. Really bizarre, which actually, is that more ammunition to the supposedly debunked rumors that Kate Markopoulos was involved with Bob McDonald, the professor? And I still have to do that podcast on the UMass West Point connection. I'll be doing that soon. The next couple episodes are going to be really, really crazy. These are like the biggest mind shocks thus far. I've saved them for last, but I'll be going over them on the next couple episodes. There's just a ton to go over. Kate Markopoulos actually ran at UMass before. But anyway, it's kind of weird, because if they did make a detour to the McDonald's during winter break, I mean, it's weird. So McDonald did tell Renner that Billy Rausch and his parents stayed with the McDonald's after Billy Rausch graduated West Point. That was possibly January 2002, so the year prior. And a few months later, April 2002, Billy Rausch was supposedly an usher in the McDonald's wedding. So he was actively involved with the McDonald's. Someone else here stated that Sarah Alfieri is from Syracuse. Kate Markopoulos is from either Rochester or Albany. Syracuse and Rochester are more to the west. And if they also detoured, so yeah, West Point would technically not be considered Western New York State. A post here. Sometimes I get the feeling that Sharon knows where Maura is if Maura is alive. If Peabody is not lying, I'd be curious to know who Maura went to visit in the West. That is curious, because if she's considering Syracuse, Rochester area, that would be very curious to know if Maura Murray really met up with Kate Markopoulos and or Sarah Alfieri. I mean, supposedly Kate Markopoulos and Sarah didn't really know each other. They only knew each other through Maura. That's the story we're told. But how would we know? And so Maura knows Sarah Alfieri from working at the art gallery. If you haven't checked out the episode on the art gallery on MindShock, make sure to check that out. There's the art gallery owner, is a very dubious individual who had a red truck, supposedly, and gave some of the employees rides. It's another just endless stack of coincidences. But so Maura Murray knows Sarah through working at the art gallery. She knows Kate Markopoulos through running track. And you know what would be curious? If we could ever definitively find out if Kate Markopoulos and Sarah knew each other. Now, of course, it's entirely possible, because unlike these small towns, Syracuse and Rochester are not that small. Syracuse population 2019, 142,874 people. Rochester, New York, that same year, 206,848 people. So now, just again, to compare the level of coincidence, because it's entirely possible, more likely they don't know each other. Because these are big, relatively big cities in New York State. There's no reason to believe that Kate and Sarah would have known each other. Unlike these random phone calls to these tiny towns in Massachusetts. So yeah, but to know her travel plans, obviously at that point they could have known each other, because after their common connection with Maura for over a year, or however long she worked at art gallery after track, whatever, at that point they could have agreed to meet up. We really don't know that either. Now, she could have also obviously stayed in New York with individuals who were not Kate, Sarah, or the McDonald's. Bill, she went to West Point, Bill went to West Point. They might have had other friends or family in the area, whatever. We don't know. This is just all information we don't know. Now, another issue, of course, is that supposedly Bill Rausch met his future wife at that April 2002 wedding where he was an usher for the McDonald's. So who knows if he kept in touch with her the entire time or not. Another astute post here. 2 days later, for a DUI walkaway, there was a state trooper who became one of the lead investigators in the case who was waiting to see what the Rausch family were going to say. The first thought for me would be, why would the boyfriend and parents leave the army and work to get to New Hampshire right away without even knowing if Maura had gone skiing with a new boyfriend or something? They would have no clue, and it would appear super bizarre by any police or authorities. As far as what happened in there, we only have Sharon's opinions, as law enforcement don't tell the public much of anything. We also have the Scott Peterson comment from Bill Rausch. So let's look at the origin of these claims of the Domino guy. Now, on Reddit, there was a comment dropped. There are a few people left in Amherst that personally knew her. A friend of mine works with a guy at Domino's that was investigated back then because she used to frequently call him using the Domino's line prior to her disappearance. And this is pretty interesting. So this is one of her last known calls when she was in possession of her phone, which she supposedly lost at the Saturday night party. So calls made prior to that Saturday night most likely were made by Maura Murray. After that Saturday night, we don't really know. She also called Domino's twice the night before the breakdown. The 3:40 a.m. call early Friday morning really stands out, as there was said to be a snowstorm that canceled classes at UMass Friday. It's hard to believe she'd be ordering food at that hour. And that's the other thing. Supposedly the Domino's was closed at that time. I went over all of those in the UMass episode. And this post on Reddit originally was made at r/UMass regarding the Maura Murray case. Relatively recent post from a few months ago. So yeah, very, very curious, and it's about to get even more curious. Supposedly, this guy Matt, if this is the same guy, the guy at Domino's that she's calling, supposedly he's also a mechanic. Now, that wouldn't be unusual, except for the fact that we know that the Saturn was supposedly on its last legs, and it had to be towed to the UMass parking lot at some point in January. Now, we don't know if that's because the keys were locked out of it or if there was some major issue with it, but either way, supposedly it wasn't running very well. Supposedly Maura Murray was never driving it. Supposedly she wasn't even insured to drive it. Again, these are all issues we've gone over before. So would a mechanic friend be so inclined as to take it for a test drive? Is it possible he hit Patrice Vassie on this test drive? Is it possible he's also involved in some kind of drug operation, which would make sense? A sting operation might make sense if the police were already investigating drug running using pizza services, which of course that does exist for all the coincidence theorists and the goofballs who think that none of these is all speculation, conspiracy. Obviously, drug rings have been busted using pizza rings. I mean, this is all known. Again, just do 10 minutes of research on Google, going through history. Not only that, UMass itself had the greatest drug bust in their history within months of the Maura Murray case, within a year or so. And it's just crazy. It's just crazy how much coincidence is going on. But, the police, I don't know if can anybody name another instance where police investigate a 2-digit unauthorized charge? I don't think you can find a case where there's a 3-digit charge. Maybe you can find a case for a 4 or 5-digit charge. Even then, I mean, to do a sting op over it, usually there's some kind of litigation. If they find the person, then they might, there has to be a whole investigation. It's not a sting operation. But either way, it would make more sense if there was an ongoing drug investigation. And if they thought Maura was involved with it, then sure. Now, would that increase the likelihood of a CI? If Domino's can be connected to this, if it can, then Maura being flipped as a CI, the chance of that increases exponentially. Because if they're already involved in a drug operation, and they suspect she is as well, I mean, who is she? She works the security desk. Was she being paid to let certain people in that shouldn't have been let in? Was it in regards to a drug operation? Saturday afternoon, she's also calling or at least her cell phone is calling places. Now, is this to trade in the Saturn? Is this to fix the Saturn? We really don't know. Now, supposedly Maura Murray's address book has been posted online. I actually couldn't find it. If somebody has a link to it, they can post it in the comments so we can take a look at it. But what's also interesting is that there's a YouTube channel with 13.2 thousand subscribers, Matt Human Pizza. There hasn't been a post on it in 7 years, but that's a curious name, Matt Human Pizza. So he's got pizza in his name, in the name of the channel. Is this the guy that worked at Domino's? And he's got instructional videos on how to fix basic things for your vehicle. So he clearly is a mechanic. Is it the same guy? I don't know. I'm not claiming it is. But supposedly they close at midnight, Sunday through Thursday, 1 a.m. Friday through Saturday. She's calling it 3:40 a.m. So think about it. If you make it, there's no way it's open, because if you're making a call that late, what time would it be delivered? Because they have to go drive, they have to make it if it's not already in. I mean, this is the end of the night. I don't know how many delivery. I mean, is 3:30 the busiest hour? I mean, even in a college town, I think the busiest time is still probably between 9 and 11 or so. At night, I don't know how many people are stuffing their face at 4 a.m. I mean, that's usually sleep time, even for college. I mean, we could do a poll. How many people, what is the average bedtime in college? 3 or 4 a.m. That's not the time to be getting pizzas, and how many pizza places are even open at that time? So it's really bizarre. It's really bizarre. So she's now, on the other hand, even if it closes at midnight, would the cleanup crew still be there at 3:40 a.m.? Now, maybe they were working till 1 a.m., maybe even 2. Even then, 3:40, would there be a guy there? Unless he's not supposed to be there, but she knows he's there because there's some kind of shady drug activity going on. Now, the night before, she does call at midnight for 5 minutes and at 10 a.m. for 3 minutes. So some people are speculating, why do you need 2 calls to place a food order? So was one of the calls an order, or were both, or neither were orders, and she's just talking to Matt for whatever reason? And a few days before that, she called Domino's at 2:44 a.m. So this would theoretically be beyond close as well. So is she simply talking to this guy, Matt, for whatever reason? Now, who is this Matt? Again, I'm not saying this is the guy on the YouTube channel, but this particular Matt, who is he connected to? And does it have something to do with the Patrick Massey hit and run? Does it have something to do with the mechanic that supposedly saw both the Toyota in the Hadley crash and the Saturn that Alden Olson has talked about and speculated about on his blog? And that's all very curious. I've gone over that in the Alden Olson podcast. If you haven't checked it out, check it out. But there's an issue with mechanics. There's an issue with these phone calls to Domino's. There's an issue with these phone calls to the McDonald's. How does it all connect? Now, what this case is really missing is another coincidence. Should it have been a McDonald's instead of a Domino's? I mean, the way the coincidence stack is going, I'm almost surprised it was Domino's instead of McDonald's. But a couple final questions here again from the subreddit. Very, very astute. Why wasn't UMass PD involved? It was on campus. Where was security for the Kennedy dorm? A response here, maybe there was in the background. Supervisor Karen said that at the time Maura disappeared, she believed Maura had been working for her / UMPD at the security desk for 6 months, although she didn't know when Maura started. I think this presents a few CI possibilities. When Maura got busted by Amherst PD, perhaps it was then that UMPD could have recruited her into CI program. Or if Maura was already working for UMPD, but was being set up during the sting op, perhaps UMPD wanted to sit on the sidelines and see how everything unfolded when Amherst PD came on campus. I wonder who was working the security desk when Maura had to come down to sign for the food and then was busted. That sure would have made for an interesting night for anyone working the desk. There seems to be a lack of information regarding the security desk monitors in this case. Who worked the Kennedy desk on her pizza arrest? Who worked the Kennedy desk when she was walked back by Mayotte? What hall's shifts did Aaron Larkin work that week? Who filled in last minute when Maura vanished? Questions. So another interesting post here. There was a guy who posted on Web Sleuths who worked at either Papa's or Pinocchio's, then went to Domino's. Not sure if they were tracked down. There was another poster who claimed the owner of Domino's was related to Maura's cousins, but nobody replied. Of course, it doesn't say what the last name was. If it's Maura's cousins, it might not be Murray. But Murray is not the rarest name either, so it's possible it could have been a Murray and not related to Maura. So, more information here. Obviously, Maura never stated who gave her the credit card number. So again, we don't have exact details of anything. But the post here, it was a girl who lived a few doors down from her in Kennedy dorm on the same floor. It was on the police report. She was the one who alerted police that someone was using her credit card number. If you watch the events of the Sarah Stern case, her longtime friend of years and years thought she had inherited a large sum of cash and strangled her after she went to the bank. She didn't have the amount he thought and threw her in the river and left her car abandoned to make it look like a suicide. Very possible here if anyone overheard that Fred was going to give Maura $4,000, many criminal-minded college kids would jump at that opportunity. And of course, in 2004, $4,000 goes a bit further than today. Remember, her last visual, allegedly, was at the ATM. Someone may have expected to hit pay dirt and realized she only had access to a few $100. Another post here. It seems that Maura had a lot of contact with law enforcement in some form or another leading up to her disappearance. Speeding ticket, New Hampshire, summer of '03. Credit card number theft, which Amherst PD busted on her on November '03. Maura working for UMPD at the security desk at the time she went missing. Accident Sunday morning, February 8th, that Hadley PD responded to, in which a UMass cadet was already on scene. My response here, probably all mere coincidence. Doesn't every missing persons case have this many encounters, alleged accidents, incidents, and of course, unnamed, uncorroborated, unsubstantiated individuals who can't be identified all this time later? I mean, we don't even have Mayotte's police report, which would sure shed some light on what was going on that Thursday night. So, supposedly, on the Mile Higher podcast, Renner mentions that the police were at the restaurant at the exact moment when Maura Murray called to make the order. So, some posts here, of course. Do you think it was just a coincidence that on the same night the unauthorized use of the credit card number was reported, that law enforcement was also at the restaurant when Maura was calling in the order? So the thing about that here is, if there's a sting op already in place, I mean, how much money is being dedicated here? So they're having police stake out, supposedly, I mean, if she made fraudulent or if there were fraudulent charges on the card, or reportedly fraudulent, again, maybe they were, maybe they weren't. So how much did they have other police at other establishments? Because there were several unauthorized charges from several different establishments allegedly. Are there police everywhere and they're just waiting for Maura to call? I mean, UMass has unprecedented hit and runs, thefts, burglaries, assaults, drug busts, and the police have nothing better to do than send all of these officers to these establishments waiting for Maura Murray to call in a 2-digit charge. I mean, do the coincidence theorists even, like, I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, this is so implausible. I mean, it's so mind shocking. I mean, if you want to make the case, possibly, in some kind of town in the middle of nowhere with like a 30-person population, maybe they would have an officer do that. Maybe, if there was literally no other crime. Zoomass is crime central. I mean, if you just look at some of the police blotters, I mean, it's astronomical. Every day there's countless break-ins, assaults, I mean, it's just madness across the board. And they're dedicating all these officers. How much money did it cost? I mean, what would the officers pay to just sit there to wait for Maura to call in a charge? I mean, what? Or not necessarily Maura, but they're just double checking every credit card on every order coming in to these restaurants? This doesn't make any sense unless that wasn't even true and the officers really weren't there. Again, we don't really, this is what was reported. We don't know if it's true or not. A response here. I just read the full reports. In the interview, JR made a mistake when he said Maura called when the police were at Pinocchio's. The victim made the complaint in person at the station, and her official complaint was handed in at 7:22 p.m. along with her credit card statements. Officer Rivera took the complaint and attempted to call the restaurant managers. The one from Pinocchio's was the only one he reached that night, and he explained the situation. As Officer Rivera was leaving at approximately 11:50 p.m., the station received a call from the manager saying someone had just ordered food with that card again. They intercepted Officer Rivera, who then asked Patrolman Pinkham and Reardon to go out and check it out. So basically, this thing lasted from 7:22 p.m. to just after midnight when they confronted Maura. Okay, so this is weird, though. Do we believe that? Because the store manager is personally overlooking every single order coming in that night? I mean, I don't know. This is kind of crazy. How many orders do they get on an average night? I mean, I'm not saying that's not what happened. It depends on how busy they are. If they're, it seems weird. Over a 2-digit charge. I mean, this is crazy. Usually on a 2-digit charge, the credit card would just reimburse the card holder. I mean, it's 2 digits. What was it, 70-something bucks? Like, it's just so weird. It's so weird. Even if she went into the station, I mean, again, next to all of the assaults, hit and runs, drug busts, break-ins, burglary, I mean, it's just kind of crazy. It's really crazy. The rest of the post here, I suppose things have different durations, and it is noted in one of the reports that the complaint was only a priority 3, so in my opinion, the cops got lucky and Maura extremely unlucky. As for her being the main suspect, it was true since she's the one they caught, and she didn't deny their statement by saying, no, I only made one purchase. If she had, they would have asked for names, I suppose, but she took the rap without ever giving the name of whoever gave her that number. And again, we really don't know. Maybe she did deny it at first, and then they coerced her into a confession. Like, again, cops often do, especially if they're trying to convert a CI. I mean, they might have threatened her with jail time. Who knows? If they really wanted a CI, and if they really thought she might have some kind of I mean, she does work a security desk, whatever. And of course, Renner can clarify whether or not he was mistaken or not, or if he has other information that the police were indeed at the establishment. But either way, the final point here is how much more strangeness is needed for even the most hardcore coincidence theorists to not be able to brush off all of these orders at pizza places. The mechanic, the Patrice Vassi hit and run. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. It's really bizarre. As usual, nothing in this case adds up. So, all the MindShock listeners out there, feel free to answer that one and leave your thoughts, comments, theories, rebuttals, debunkings of any kind in the comment section. If you enjoy the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal, help support the channel. You can also become a patron on Patreon. Just check the link in the description. Patrons do have priority for case topic, logical analysis, co-podcaster requests. You could also be a guest on the podcast depending on your tier. Like and share this podcast across social media platforms, of which you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Patreon. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell for notifications. This is Bruce McGuire signing off. Catch you guys next time.